Hey, techno studs. One of the most critical pieces on our network from a security standpoint is our firewall. So in this video, let's get into a little more in depth what a firewall is and how it protects our network. We're going to start by defining what a firewall is. We're going to get into security zones and what security zones look like. We'll talk about returning traffic and how it deals with returning traffic. We'll talk about ACLs and what ACLs are, and then we'll wrap things up talking about next generation firewalls. The most secure you can make your internal network is just by unplugging it from the rest of the world. From not letting it connect to the internet. There's too many threats out there. And there are some systems that actually implement security using this manner. However, most businesses, most organizations, most individuals need access to the outside world. That's how we do business nowadays. And so we need something that protects us from the rest of the world. That's what a firewall does. It's the protection between our internal network and the rest of the world. And so how does it do that? Well, one, it blocks traffic from coming into your network, but it can't do just that. Because obviously, if I'm going out and asking for a web page, that web page needs to come back into the network, that data needs to come back into the network. And so, since I requested it. So for that reason, the firewall actually is the thing that makes the decision on what it's going to let out of the network and what it's going to let into the network. And so that's what a firewall job is it the security point that allows or denies traffic inside and outside of these networks. One of the key ways a firewall makes its decision is by the interface and whether the traffic is coming in or out of each of these interfaces. And you can think of these as security zones. So in this instance right here, you really have three different security zones. You've got the internet right here, which is considered the least secure. You've got the screen subnet or the DMZ right here, which is considered more secure. And then you have this zone right here, which is considered the internal network, which is the most secure. And so there are different ways that we can control the traffic coming in and out of these different zones. But one of the common ways that these firewalls are set up is that anything from the internal zone could go to the DMZ or the internet. Anything from the DMZ could go out to the internet. But nothing from the internet could automatically be accepted to go into the DMZ or the internal network. And nothing from the DMZ could automatically be allowed into the internal network. So it allows traffic to go from a secured zone to a less secure zone, but it doesn't allow the traffic to go the other way unless specific conditions are met. One of those specific conditions is returning traffic. So if a machine goes out and asks for a website and is requesting resources from a web page, then this firewall would track that information going out and say, okay, I'm going to expect then a return traffic to come back in, and I'm going to allow that returning traffic to come back in. So that's one of the ways that it would make an exception to go from the internet to the internal zone. Another way is through the use of access control lists or ACLs. You might have an access control list that says, well, allow people from the internet to get to our web servers. So that's another exception that traffic would be allowed because we want people to access our web servers. And that's what an ACL would allow us to do, is create rules that would allow that type of traffic. There are several ways that an ACL could filter off of. It could do it off of a MAC address. It could do it off an IP address. It could do it off of applications and ports. It could do it through URL filtering. It could do it through stateful packet inspection. So when that traffic is coming through this firewall, then it can do these different rules, have these different ACLs to have different methods to actually look at the traffic going across there and accept or deny based off of some of these criteria. Traditional firewalls really were based off of the MAC address, the IP address, the application or the port numbers. It would do some filtering at a very kind of, I'd say, low level. If you look at the OSI models, it's levels 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's really just basing it off of a few pieces of information here on whether it's going to accept or deny. The next generation firewall, or the NGFW, are firewalls that will actually do these deeper packet inspections. Well, they'll actually go in there and look at the traffic going back and forth and start recognizing if there is maybe some malware that's involved with this transaction, or if there's something else that's going on with the packets that are flowing back and forth. And so the idea behind the next generation firewall is it's a firewall that it can do a deeper packet inspection to figure out what's going on with the traffic that's going across it. Firewalls are a critical part of protecting our network. And so setting up a firewall correctly is going to be really important. We talked about how a firewall has the different interfaces or the different zones that it can actually allow certain traffic to go between from a secure zone to an insecure zone. But then things that are going from an insecure zone into a secure zone has to meet certain criteria. For instance, maybe it's returning traffic. It's been traffic that's been requested. Or maybe we have some sort of ACL that allows it. And then we wrap things up talking about a next generation firewall, which actually gets into that packet inspection and is able to make some decisions based off of things that are found at the application level and something that's much deeper inside the packet.